Aged Dustin Hoffman to 120 for the film Little Big Man.
So when Little Big Man came along, it was no big decision to want to work with him. If I think about why I wanted to work with him, his technical facility was obvious to me by then. He had proven himself, certainly with me, in terms of his work. I knew of no other makeup artist who could do that type of prosthetic work, which Little Big Man demanded to do. So I went in, and we had to get started about 5 in the morning because we had to be ready to shoot at 10, and it was 5 hours. So I sat in the chair, and he started to, first thing he did was grease down my hair, which was all right, and then he started to apply this stuff. And though I'm not claustrophobic, I nevertheless got very itchy, and about every half hour, I think I needed to at least do some kind of movement. If I had to repeat it, I wouldn't want to go through it again as I remembered it. It was just one of the worst experiences I ever had. I think for Dick, it's better because he's working every minute, and it's somewhat surgical. As a matter of fact, I think a surgeon and him is probably kind of a comparable profession in terms of what he was doing, the layers that he put on me.
First step in doing a makeup like this is to mold from the actor's face a plaster life mask. Here's Dustin's, and here's what we do with it. On this duplicate, there's a clay sculpture of the old age makeup, which is the most critical stage of creating this sort of makeup. All the detail, all the realism that's important to the makeup must be done at this time. I don't like to make a mask in one piece. For technical reasons, I can do a better application if it's in sections. So I divided this face up into about 10 sections. For instance, I take off the clay from the lower lip and chin, and I put it on a duplicate of Dustin's lower lip and chin. And that's where I will do the final modeling of that particular section. And I'll do the same thing with several other pieces of that, of the entire face. At this point, I put a rubber wall around the life mask section with its finished clay sculpture, and I pour plaster within it in order to make the mold. After the plaster is hardened, the mold is opened, and all the clay is carefully removed, and the mold prepared for the introduction of foam latex. This is beaten up foam latex, which is a mixture of latex and chemicals whipped up. A little of this goes in each mold. It's closed up. The excess comes out, and we fill them all very carefully so that there's no air trapped in them. And then they'll be baked. The latex-filled molds will be baked in this laboratory oven for about 4 hours. I'll have to prepare a set for each day's shooting because they can only be used once. This is the way foam latex pieces look when they've been taken out of the molds. This happens to be a set left over from the filming of Little Big Man, and they were pre-colored somewhat in order to save time in application. This is a little eyelid, which is something I'm rather pleased with because I was able to make them delicately enough to actually fold and unfold. I'm putting the pieces on a rubber head of Dustin to show you how they overlap. And also I want to show you what I did with the mouth to make it look old. It's been built out up in here, and the chin's built out so that on profile you get that sunken in old man look. This large piece has so many wrinkles in it that I think it must have taken me over a week to do the original sculpture. It goes on and overlaps the other pieces, wraps around and fits in up underneath the eyes, and really now starts to make the transformation complete. The next thing to go on is a foam rubber hump. This does two things for Dustin. Shortens up his neck and gives him a profile kind of like an old vulture, really stooped. The headpiece is made out of two overlapping pieces of foam rubber. Most headpieces are made out of plastic, but the foam rubber is a great advantage because you can sculpt in all the detail, wrinkles, skull structure, veins, and so forth, and you can even implant the hair into it to give a really natural effect.
I felt physically old, so that I couldn't walk fast. I couldn't climb stairs fast, and I know it was psychological, but it was something that I didn't have to worry about working at as an actor. I think I even felt sorry for myself. I remember I went into a room and started screaming in order to get my voice hoarse, and after doing that for about 15 minutes, I wandered down to the set, though the set was on location in an old folks veterans hospital, and they had the real patients on either side in the beds. And while they were setting up, I started to talk to a patient, a real patient, and I asked him, "How old are you?" And he said 92, I think. And I said, "Well, 95. And he said, he says, "I'll catch you yet." And the crew, I looked out of the corner of my eye, and they were giggling and laughing in a good-natured way at the episode because they realized I was carrying it off.